Yeah, I'm making this recording basically for myself to see if I can do this. But I had a professor years ago that talked about if you think you know something, teach it. Then you know if you know it. And I know from my working with my Arduinos and basic stamps and whatever, there's always a blinking LED program that everyone starts with. And so consider this my blinking LED program, just to get everything all the parameters, everything working with the program. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take from start to finish how I design a replacement for this. This is a insert I use for my greenhouse that they rot out every couple of years again. And before I've been band sawing it out, table sawing it out, cutting with a router, and it's a hassle to make. And I thought, well, you know what? If I can use Maslow, here's one I just made from the Maslow. That's a simple thing to do in this. So I'm going to show you all the steps necessary to design this to take it all the way to the printer then too. So, and first off, I got to thank the Maslow people. I mean, this is a great program, great device they've come up with, and I cannot believe, unlike this, the diameters, how these things are just spot on. So I was really impressed how accurate this program is here too. So a lot of work. So my hat's off to you guys here too, and also the Maslow 360, sorry, the Fusion 360 people making this program available for startups and educational use. That is just phenomenal in building wealth in our country. So I think that's fantastic to do. And there's been other help out there too. In fact, I've enjoyed the Learn Fusion 360 or Die Trying. It's more designed for 3D printing, but that's okay. I have a 3D printer and I was able to use it for that. Anyway, let's get started here because I do have a little bit of experience with CAD, but only on my Open SCAD program I used. It's a totally different way of thinking about this. In fact, if you go to Thingiverse and OT and AT, I've put 3 designs there that deal with Maslow's equipment there too. You can download those if you want them as well. I'm not a big fan of MakerCam. Seemed like it was frustrating. Easel, I did like that a lot better. Although I had problems with the easel. I cut my finished sled, Maslow sled, using easel, and one of the holes somehow got moved, and I don't know how I did that. I don't even know when I did that. But so anyway, I thought this program here, Fusion 360, was worth learning, and I do believe it is. So there's nothing to take in the SVG files, just basically start to finish. So let's start. I'm going to go up here and actually do a new component. I'm going to call this basically Greenhouse 4, okay, GH4, okay. So, and of course it's activate that here too. Now before we get too far, we're going to set up some parameters. It takes a couple seconds here, but this is going to help you down the road here. It's going to actually make things so much quicker here too. So width is going to be 16.5 inches, 16.5. Okay, I need another one. I'm using this inserts here, use these plastic tubs, basically, 4-gallon square tubs. And so I'm just going to call this one tub. And oops, let's capitalize that, because this cap's sensitive here too. Tub, and those are 9.15 inches square. And I need one more hole cut as well, so I'm going to actually add that as well. It's going to be my drain hole. D-A-I-N, drain, and that's going to be 1 and 1/4 inch. Okay. So those are my 3 parameters, and they'll pop up later. I'll show you how powerful they are in just a couple of minutes here too. So let's go ahead and create just a rectangle here. And I'm going to grab this orientation here too. My Z is looking at me here too. And I'm just going to go ahead and left button here and drag across here and then release, and that's going to bring me a rectangle. And I don't even care how big it is right now, because now I'm going to hit D, shortcut D to dimension. Going to change the mouse up here, left button release, go up here, left button release, and now this is going to be my width. W-I-D, W-I-D-T-H. Okay, so there's my width parameter. Okay, enter. And since I'm here, before I zoom it back in, I'm already in dimension. Let's take this thing out here too. I think this was 18 inches, and 18 inches is the height I'm going to use here. So that's 18 inches. Okay, now down here is my hand. I'm going to down here and I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel out so I can see. And now there is basically my board, 18 inches by 16.5 inches. Okay, so now I need to put some things on the inside, the cutout. The best way I've ever found to do that is just down here to the line. And I'm just going to add a couple more lines here. Don't even care how far they go. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to add another line over here. Don't really care how far it goes. I'm going to say OK. But I want these two lines to be locked in together. Okay, so I'm just going to do this collinear constraint here. I'm going to click this one and click this one. Now basically they're going to be locked together. So that way if I move one or something else moves in the design, they're still going to be locked together. Okay, let's go back down to it, add some more lines here. Line to here, and again I don't really care about the dimensions because I'm going to dimension them later on. And now this is where my drain is going to go eventually, and again I don't really care about the dimensions. Now I'm going to dimension it. Okay, so there's my really rough insert inside here, and now I'm going to go back to my D, hit my D button, pull this one down here too. That's going to be my tub. Okay, so tub is going to be it, 9.15. Tub is also going to be this one here as well. Okay, so I can pull this over here and say tub because that's a square, T-U-B. Okay, now what shines in here, helps this thing really nice, is that this line here, I want to center this. And I could measure and screw around with it all the time here too, but let's just go ahead and have this, line, I could have done an L key, to here. And now back to D, push D to dimension. If I go up in here and say, okay, this is the dimension I want, but what I can say is actually I can do an open parentheses here too and say width minus tub in parentheses divided by 2, and that automatically will center it because here's the other half of it over here. And I can do the same thing up here, but let's go ahead and get this thing basically set to the right shape here too. So let's go ahead and dimension this one. This is going to be drain. Drain's also going to be square, so I'm going to take this one out here. I'm going to put drain. Okay. And then to make this in the center, well, I can do the same thing I did before here. I can dimension this one here too. Now let's pull up out of the way here too, and I'll say, well, this is tub, so it's going to be parentheses, tub minus drain divided by 2. And that will center it for me. Okay, so I can hide these things here too. And just FYI, I don't have an engineering background. I am an occupational therapist. I'm coming into this more of the health sciences. But I did get into a lot of assistive technology and 3D printing, so this has helped a little bit here too. So there's my basically box with the exception of the front here too. Let's go back here and add a line here and bring this down here, and then I'm going to press D for dimension. Bring this over here. I want this to be 3 inches away from the front. Okay, that centers it right where I want everything to be. Now these lines, these blue lines, are actually part of the design. I don't want them to be that way, so I'm going to escape. I'm going to click on that, right click, nominal construction. Just makes it kind of a dotted line telling me there's something there that's just a measurement is all. So that is really the insert that I want to make, but I don't like these square corners. In fact, I can't have square corners because my tub is rounded. So I'm going to go back to sketch here and get this fillet tool. Now I'm going to scroll this out a little bit here too, and I'm going to switch this one to this one. And 2.5 inches radius is a bit big, so let's just go 1 inch. That works really well. And again, I got a warning down here because I'm rewriting a constraint. Something was saying, oh, I don't want to change this. You've got me locked in here. Well, that's okay. I'm just going to reconstrain that constraint again. So I'm going to do 1 inch here. Okay, and I don't know if I still have it there or not. I do. 1 inch there. And I think I still might be able to, nope, I gotta grab it again here. So that one to that one, 1 inch. Okay. So now I also want to round this back here because I can't, my 1/4 inch bit's not going to be able to make a square corner, but I don't want it square anyway. So let's go back here to the fillet tool again. This time I'm going to choose a 1/2 inch. Automatically chose it before for me, which is nice. And I'm going to say okay. And again, warning constraint there. It's okay. I don't care. Let's go back to this one here. And again, it thinks it knows better than I, and sometimes it does. 1/2 inch. Okay. Now that is basically my design of the insert and where the drain is going to go. The drain is actually an upper drain. If for some reason the lower drain doesn't handle it all, there's an upper drain to keep it from overfilling into the greenhouse. Now I also need a circle here. I have a where I attach my plumbing to it and my lock line to have around here too. So I don't really care about getting it correctly right here because I can hit D, take it up here, and oops, let's cancel that. Take it up here to D, dimension that. I want that 1.75 inches. Okay, and I should be able to move this around. Oops, don't want to select that one. So I'm going to keep that an inch or so away. The placement of this is not critical. As long as it's an inch away, and I can always say that by line. I can go back up to here and make sure it's here, and it's 1 1/4 inches. That'd be perfectly fine then too. So I don't care about that. So let's cancel that then too. So there is my main design. Now, of course, that's just on. It doesn't have any body to it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go up and extrude, and I'm going to pick the side I'm going to extrude. And it's smart enough to know, well, I don't want the holes. I just want the board here too. And my distance down here, well, I'm going to use 1/2 inch plywood for this one. So it's going to be 1/2 inch plywood. All right, and again, the profile, which way I'm extruding, I don't really care. One side or equal here too. And so I'm going to say okay with that. And if I don't go down my orbit tool here, I can show you that it's got some depth to it. Now in the preferences before we even started here, I already had this thing set up so for cherry wood and ash plywood here too. So no, that's my design. Okay, now what I need to do is take this to the CAM program. Yeah, you know, let's save this because it's nice to always have this thing saved here as, you know, greenhouse 3, greenhouse 4, I'll call it. Okay, and so now I can go down here to, from taking it to the model, I'm going to take it to my CAM. Okay, setup here, well, it's going to be milling. Milling is what we're going to do here. I don't care about the orientation. I already got that set up before with the z-axis coming right towards me here. The stock point, the box point, I'm gonna select where it starts by selecting the holes I want to get cut first. I don't care about anything else here too. The stock here too. Only things here I can just check and make sure I got my height right. 1/2 inch is 13.7 here too. Don't really care about anything else here too. Post process. I can give this a name. We'll just call this greenhouse 4. Okay, the offsets, I don't care. Bottom line. Okay, so now we've got our setup done. Let's go up to our 2D contour. Okay, now there's 5 tabs up here, and I'm gonna first select the tool, and it's going to be a flat one here too. Mine's not a ball end, mine's going to be a flat end mill, and that's not, I'm going to put mine in inches. It's going to be 1/4 inch or 0.25. Okay, I only got one flute. It probably doesn't make any difference here on this one here too. Okay, all right, so down here I already had this to default. In fact, if you hover over these things here too, you can actually have this to change this to default. Oh, sorry. Okay, to default. It's away from that one. So 508. I'm talking about here. If I hover onto that, right button, I can make default. Okay, so 508 is equivalent to 20 inches, um, but it's 508 millimeters. Okay, and again, lead out, lead in. I can fill these up. I'm not really using them. I don't really care. Spindle seats is set by the router. Surface speed, that's actually for the spindle speed on it. Don't really care. Ramp, don't care. Feed per revolution, don't care. Plunge feed rate, I just usually leave that. I think Maslow's ground control kind of overrides that anyway. The flooding, the coolant, I'm not going to use that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually selecting our contours. Now I can go over here, but I'm going to select this one first, and be mindful of how you're selecting the order, because you can tell it to say I want it to cut in this order. And if I scroll in, you can see that it's going to be cutting in the inside. I can cut the outside if I want, but I want the inside. So there's 1, 2, and 3, how it's going to cut here too in the geometry. And that's the 3 chains we've got here too. Stock contours, don't care. Tabs, I do care. And I don't like by distance. It adds a lot of tabs, and if I take off all these tabs, then I might only have 1 tab in the circle, which is not enough. So I get rid of by distance. I do it by points. That way I can just click and say I want a tab, and you can actually put tabs in the stressed areas. You can go crazy if you want. For every tab, remember, you got to clean them up. Okay, and then I'm going to tab on my board here as well on the outside. I like tabs in corners. Seems like there are more stress points. And again, it's my own opinion. Okay, tab and tab and tab. All right, so 6.35, which is 1/4 inch. My tab height, I like to bring it up a little bit higher than that, especially if I don't have the measurements exactly right here too. Rest machining, wrap tool path, tool orientation, don't care. Okay, so if we move on to heights, let's take a look at the bottom here too. Now I don't like this, that it's got the stock top and selected contours here, so I usually have everything referenced from the stock top. Okay, and 16.5, that is a little bit much, so I can actually bring this in here and show it's actually a little closer here too. And the retract height is different than the move height, I believe. So I'll just go ahead and retract height from the stock top as well. Now I'm guessing here, this is a guess, but this measurement right here, I think this is when you start up the ground control. I think this is what's assumed, whatever the height is to be when you get this set up here too. So retract height is a little bit higher here. Feed height, I'm going to bring this down, just clearance height. Oops, got to keep that exactly where I had it before here. Okay, well, I'll let that be. Okay, so minus 14.5. It's a little bit beyond the 1/2 inch piece of plywood. That's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and next one here, passes, tolerances. I don't really care. It's closer than I got here. And the conventional milling, I think that's what, by convention, everyone's doing that, right? Conventional milling, compensation, letting the computer, don't care. Minimum cutting radius, don't really care. Finished rate, I'm not going to use that. Roughing passes, that's on the outside, don't care that. The depths I do care though. Let's pull this down here. The depths are 4 millimeter, and that's kind of default here too. The rough is going to be the final. Order by islands, we'll cut out each individual one at a time, I think. So I'm going to leave that. Stock leave, don't care. Smoothing, don't care. Feed optimization, don't care. The linking here, be sure this keep tool down is unchecked. Okay. Allow rapid retraction. I'm not certain about Maslow even supports that. I'm not doing a lead in, and I'm not doing a lead out. So don't care about that. So now I'm going to say OK, and what's going to happen here, it's going to generate, oh, there it is, it's what percentages was, no warnings on things here too. So let's go ahead and pan this over, zoom this out some, and I'm going to pull this around so people can see this. Now you can see anything that's red, I don't think it likes red. Like here's a tab. For some reason it doesn't like that tab, but it's not enough for it to generate a warning. At least that's my own thought on this as well. But once you get it here too, I can go up here and just say, let's simulate this. Okay, and I'll start it here. And now what I didn't like about this, it started it in the middle here. I wanted it started up here. So let's go ahead and stop that. Let's go back and close this and take a look here too, because I think I forgot to check something on here. Let's go back to edit. And up here is not here, contour. Let's see, rule top, preserve order. Have this checked. If you preserve order, basically it's going to start in the order that you chose it. Okay, let's say okay with that one here too. Now it's going to start. Let's go ahead and simulate this one. That's where it's going to start now, where I wanted, the order I chose them. And all the way to the end. I just advanced it ahead here too. So let's go ahead and close that. Okay, so now that's done, I can go up here and say post process. Okay, now I had to actually originally download the files here to Maslow's getting extension. I'm not waiting for it. I don't know that much about G-code anyway, so I'm just going to use the traditional generic GRBL code here too, generic. I did set up where my output folder is going to go in my Maslow folder. I already gave it a name earlier on the program, Greenhouse GH4. All these are green. At the green board, it's good. I'm just going to say post. It's going to generate Greenhouse 4, and I'm done. Now it's going to also open up the G-code if I want to see it. And it's interesting. I've used it for my 3D printing, but I don't really understand it well enough. Don't really have to right now. So now I'm done with that. So anyway, I hope this helps. Taking it start to finish here too. And sorry, I gotta going a little quick. I can hear a thunderstorm coming in the background here too. But again, this is, like I said, my LED. I'm doing this for myself because, like I said, if I want to make sure I know what to teach it. So this is why I'm doing this as well here too. So I'm going to save that just to make sure, and hope it helps. Have a good day.